Welcome to Rhythm and Roads, everyone. I'm your host, Joshua Jacob. We have a very special guest. We have filmmaker Carlos Jr. from Los Angeles. Welcome, sir.
Hey, Joshua. It's a pleasure. I'm from El Paso. I was born and
Oh, are
raised,
you really? Okay.
crossing like the border
Nice.
between El Paso and Ciudad Juarez. But yeah, I've been out here in LA I was in Orange County for like three years, and now I live in LA. Yeah.
Nice, man. Well, welcome. I'm glad. Yeah, and we'll get into your story just a bit. But so, what part of Los Angeles are you in downtown, or what part?
I'm
Or
in Filipino town. It's this like funny, like a lot of people don't know that this place exists. I'll tell people I'm in Filipino town. They're like, what is that? But it's right outside of downtown. If you've ever been to
oh,
LA and you've
yeah.
seen like the Disney concert hall that is
Oh,
in
there, yeah.
downtown, I'm like right down the street
Oh,
from
are you?
that. So
Okay.
it's pretty central location, honestly. I moved up here from OC, which I love, and
Oh,
one day I will be back.
yeah.
But it's a very central location for like productions and stuff like that. So yeah,
Heck
I'm
yeah,
out here.
dude. Well,
Yeah.
nice, man. That's awesome. Well, let's get into your story, Carlos. So,
hmm
I know you said you're from El Paso. If you want to share a bit about yourself and the transition from the beginning of you, the interest of wanting to become a filmmaker, a director, and so what caught your interest in that? But if you want to share just the start of growing up in El Paso, the journey.
I mean, certainly, I think I grew up like in an extremely privileged situation
Okay.
in the sense that I grew up with like a family and a household that was extremely supportive, like emotionally, in terms of following like your pursuit and following your career, which is, I think, something that like most of us don't experience, especially kind of where we grow up, you
Mm.
know? And I, when I started trying to like figure out what I was gonna be like in undergrad, I majored like in speech, and then I switched over to mass communication because I knew I wanted to like speak to a lot of people. That was my idea. I was a Catholic at the time, and I wanted to like spread the word, and I was like, I want to learn how to like influence like large amounts of people. That led me to like a journalism degree, which wasn't satisfactory for me. Ended up taking a class at New Mexico State
Oh, you
with
did? Oh, cool.
with an amazing human being, Alana Lapid. It was a summer class. I'll never forget it. It was titled The Social Impact of Film. And we watched narrative films, short films, we watched documentaries. I remember there was like not that I'm necessarily interested in the subject per se, but I remember we watched both a documentary and a narrative film, both about Edward Snowden. And something about like being in that environment, watching these movies, having that like emotional impact, and
Mm.
then having like an open discussion with Alana and the rest of the classmates just like clicked in me.
Hmm.
I went home. I went on a date to go watch The Revenant. I'll never forget. And
Oh, that's a
I
good
we
movie.
was watching The Revenant, and I said, I can do this. Like I maybe not like but I can make movies. I know I fucking can. That
Yeah.
must have been like in 2017,
Oh,
and
wow.
never once have I looked back. Never once have I
Never
looked back.
once, huh?
Never, never,
Wow.
never. Like since that day, it's never been a doubt in my mind that I wanted to be a filmmaker. And I started reflecting on, like I said, like I started out with, like my family, the experiences that I've gone through when growing up, and I sort of just realized that a lot of my life was very cinematic. And so I went like on a journey to have that social impact and to like interpret experiences in my life into film, write them into screenplays and direct them into movies. And that's what I've been doing since.
Dang, dude, that's awesome, man. So the movie Revenant was the one that inspired you.
That's the one that hooked me, man.
Yeah, that's
Alejandro Iñárritu really just like it grabs you. I was able to actually tell him that one day. At Chapman, which so I came out here to like do my master's degree at Chapman University, and here they were able to introduce us to a lot of amazing filmmakers, a lot of my heroes, and I was able to meet him. We watched Bardo. He presented Bardo to us, and we
wow.
got to watch it alongside him, and then do like a big Q&A, and then have like small conversations with him. And I told him like that this was like the film that impacted me, blah blah blah. And he did. It didn't even phase him. I think he's
Oh,
probably heard that like a million times. That's just like who he is.
that's
He's
so
like,
cool
oh,
you
okay,
got to
cool,
meet
yeah,
him,
blah blah
man.
blah blah blah, and then just moved on.
Yeah, that's so cool you got to meet him. Wow,
Yeah, certainly, certainly.
that's awesome. So you went to New Mexico State University, right? and then you went to so what I guess inspired you to move to LA because you were in El Paso and then you went to NMSU. Was there an opportunity? Was it your family that said, "Hey, let's move to LA," or you just did it on your own?
You know, funny, I followed the advice of another. I mean, wow, I met so many, so many amazing professors,
Okay.
completely changed like the course of my life at
Wow.
New Mexico State. Another filmmaker I must shout out is Julian Alexander, who taught directing for like a few years there at New Mexico State. I think also at the community college there.
Okay.
And he had gotten a master's degree at Leeds Beckett, and I was just going to follow his plan. So I graduated undergrad with a master's degree. I went through CMI rather quickly because I transferred in late. So I was satisfied with the course, but I was unsatisfied with the amount of time I had been a film student.
Hmm.
So I knew I needed to go to grad school. I was going to go apply to that program in England, but it turns out that that year they discontinued the
Oh,
film
they
school, or at
did?
least the directing program. So I was like, damn. And I remember he told me, go to grad school, but don't go deep into debt and blah, blah, blah. And I totally ignored that part of his advice and I went deep into debt. And there's another professor at New Mexico State who also went to Chapman.
Yeah.
And I heard through him that this was a good program. I applied to all the big film schools. I got into all of them except for NYU, and I kind of had to choose between them. I chose Chapman, which is in Orange County, which is
Yeah.
why I moved down here.
Oh, I
And
see.
once I was here, it was a wrap, man. This is
Oh,
my home.
dude.
Like,
Heck yeah, dude.
yeah.
I mean, I would love to just even live in LA or just that surrounding area. I mean, of course, that's the heart of Hollywood filmmaking and everything. So good for you, man.
Certainly, like the coolest part about like living and making films here is actually the access to international filmmakers. That
Is
in
that right?
hands down easily is my favorite. I mean,
Um,
um, basically all of my film, I'm sure we'll eventually get into my films, but like
yeah.
they're pretty much almost all Spanish language. And Mexican stories besides the cast that you see on screen and my ride or die screenwriter and myself, other than us, we're the only Mexicans that are usually ever involved in my movie, not on purpose, just because we have access to so much amazing international talent here. Like
Wow.
a lot of Chinese filmmakers, a lot of Indian filmmakers, Sri Lankan filmmakers, Australian, like just so many different kinds of people. That is my favorite part about living and making films here, is like that totally different
Yeah.
perspective.
There's a variety of
um,
different cultures.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
I
awesome.
love that about living and working here for sure.
So cool, man. Well, let's get into your films. So let's start with the first film ever that you started. The very first one that, even if it was just a short, something of a project from, or we'll go from there.
I'm gonna send you a clip if you want to put it. But like this film, the first one I will ever, funny enough,
Yeah.
I started reflecting on my childhood and I realized I had actually made movies when I was young. I had done like edits about like my brother's life when I was
Oh,
like 10
really?
years old. Yes,
Oh,
I
wow.
didn't realize that I had that was a thing that I always for like a long time I was like, oh, I didn't know I was going to be a filmmaker. And then as I started looking back and talking to my family, they were like, "Oh, but you made this and you made that." I was like, "Oh shit, you're right." But I wouldn't count those as my first films. Like
Okay,
really,
right.
the again going back to Julian, one time he took us to like an art exhibit at the I don't know if it was the art school or an art museum at New Mexico State, and there was this painting. It's called True Blue. I'll never forget it. It's beautiful painting. Um, of just this muse like looking into the camera, and we had an assignment: pick a work of art in this exhibit and turn it into a movie.
Oh,
We
wow.
had like about 2 weeks to do it. For about 2 weeks I was miserable. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to interpret anything. I'd never shot anything before. All I had was this Fuji photo camera that I liked because it was famous on Instagram.
Okay.
And the night before we're supposed to submit it, I called Julian, uh, frustrated. And this is kind of late. This is like 11:30 p.m. I'm like, this is a professor of mine, by the way. I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, Julian, I am freaking out. I don't know what to make. I haven't even filmed anything. I'm supposed
Wow.
to show this tomorrow in your class. can I do it later? And he's like, no, no.
Oh,
What do
snap.
you mean? He's like, pick up your camera and just hit the damn button, dude. And I was like, Julian, I don't even know what to do. I don't have any actors. He's like, I don't care. You have to bring the movie tomorrow. That's filmmaking.
Wow.
Boom, hangs up.
Oh,
I'm like, oh crap. So,
dang.
so that's what I do. I set up some lights, I put up a camera, I start filming like these like I don't know, I start filming like these kind of abstract images of like me behind a sh like a shower curtain. It's kind of like washing the frame, and I
Ah,
start like pointing like some light into the lens. I am like I had this like Radiohead song stuck in my head. I put it over that. I edited overnight. I must have gone to sleep like 5 in the morning for like that 10 o'clock class. Edited the whole damn thing, showed it in the class, and then we were all myself who had basically not even seen my own work. I mean, I
yeah.
probably exported it and never even watched it until we screened it, and I actually really liked it. Julian like had like a little award ceremony from all our films and gave me like a little like a best directed award for like that movie, which
What?
was something that I had not even
Best
conceived.
directed?
Something like that. Yeah, it was like a little piece of
Really?
paper. I still have it somewhere. And and that was my first ever movie, basically.
Dang, dude.
I went on to
Wow.
make a thesis after that, which I was very proud of, and I sort of ended up calling that my first movie. But the real ones know that that film, True Blue, was actually my first film.
True Blue.
Yeah,
Man, that what a story. Just time frame like that to be like, nope, you still have to show it tomorrow. You're just like, oh,
yeah, yeah. He taught me a great lesson. He taught me an amazing
dang.
lesson. Like I still live. I basically hear that voice in my head every time. Whether I'm breaking down a script or I'm submitting one, I'm writing one, I need to make a strip board, whatever. It's like you got to do
Wow,
it. It's due now. So
that's
do
right.
it.
And I love that. And before we get into more of your films, I want to say when at the New Mexico State, actually, well, at the Las Cruces International Film Festival for the award
Mhm.
ceremony, I've noticed that quite few of the filmmakers met when they received their award and they said something to, to us. They said, and I caught it a lot more than once, was just do it. Don't wait.
Mhm.
Don't, if you have what you have and you're ready, then just do it.
Yeah, definitely.
And I
I
like
remember
that
Jessica
because,
saying that for sure.
and it's true, like what you're saying, sometimes like the professor, Julian, he was just like, man, you just do it.
Yeah,
The button, go and do it. That's what it's all about.
yeah,
So yeah, man, that inspired me. I'm like, yeah, do it, man. Like we don't, and they said too, we don't, you don't have all the time that you think you might have.
yeah,
Life's precious, and if you have that
certainly.
idea and you have friends that are interested, then just do it, man. Just get together and if it comes out like blah or whatever, it's okay because you guys did something, then not doing something.
Yeah.
So good advice.
You gotta suck for a long time before you get good. That's for sure.
Oh,
I'm
I
still
bet,
deep in the
man.
sucking part.
I bet, man. And that's the thing is, yes, there's the awkward stage, the learning stage, and then the instinctive stage. So you go
Yeah,
through those stages, and yeah, and then of course you look back. But the thing is, and then we'll move on to your films, is you don't put yourself down
right.
as you're experimenting and seeing your, bad results. As in, like, oh, maybe it's not for me because look at the results, and you just want to quit. No, just be like, okay, I'm learning from it. Yes, we could do better, and you move forward.
Yeah,
So it's part of learning, right?
certainly, certainly.
All right, man. So let's get into your other films. So what is the other films that you have done? I'm read that you're very into drama or just filmmaking as well. I'm pretty big on, I mean, it's not my go-to, but I do like a lot of good drama romance films, like 500 Days of Summer.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah,
that's whoa. And then,
yeah,
of course, The Notebook is like, okay, yes, it's the best romance out there. One of But 500 Days, dude, I got to say that film was very on point on just the realistic of life of dating and you've seen it, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
I have like a very deep relationship to films that are like I've always made character studies, and it's just kind of what I'm attracted to. And I feel like when you really dive deep into somebody's like life,
Mm,
uh, I mean, look, I guess this is me speaking for myself, right? Like in life, there's a lot of things that are important: family, career, health, all of those things. The truth is, man, like the most important thing in my life is love. And it's the thing I think I want the most out of anything.
wow.
And I would suspect the vast majority of people feel the same way.
Mm,
And so for me, yes, I love romance films, but I really more specifically mean like I love learning. I like watching and making films that are deeply about a person's life. And I sort of find that love is usually always at the center of all of that. So actually, sort of like when people ask me like, what's your favorite romance film? They're actually not really romances in the sense that, in the classical sense, like my favorite films and because of the romantic quality to them might be something like The Worst Person in the World, right? Which isn't about two people coming together, but it is one woman's life story and ultimately how her journey of self-discovery and love is sort of at the center of all of it. The same thing for maybe like a show like Fleabag, right? Which is like another woman's life and
mhm.
how she, like both the cheap and the deep ways that she ends up finding and seeking love. So those kind of movies are like the ones that really inspire me and kind of really set me up for what ended up being my graduate thesis. I've made, between True Blue and La Cumbia, I've made, I don't know, 10 or 12 movies, short films, right? Like, and I
Oh,
can talk
wow.
about all of them, but this last one and this new journey that I'm on about of sort of like misconnections and romance and like the yearning of like uh, of a romantic connection really sort of culminated itself in my latest short film, La Cumbia, which is one movie that was designed to be two ships passing in the night and having just barely missed like that opportunity for like a deep and long lasting connection.
Wow.
Uh, for some reason, like that kind of stuff really just I know actually I know the reason why. I mean, it's because that's kind of what I'm looking for in my own life. So I just ended up reflecting it in my movies, right? Like that that phase maybe of life is one that I'm just obsessed with and interested in. Um, and and I'm continue to be interested in.
Wow, man. That's pretty deep. So I want to ask, what interests you to be so in depth with that, with love on that era? How you feel?
I mean, look, like it's all personal experiences, like I've had a very eventful journey, in my own personal life and I don't know, like I actually personally never really subscribed to the idea that we could use film as therapy, but I don't know. I think the people that say that are kind of onto something because, uh, you know, this topic is one that, like I said, it is something I'm actively sort of experiencing, and yeah, like there are certainly like a lot of elements, of my previous, like entanglement and my previous relationship and
Mhm.
that have really, really made it into the film. I mean, this is getting extremely personal, but like, I was interestingly enough, like the film is about two people from two completely different worlds, right? An American documentarian who's doing like this subject, who's making this documentary on this Mushe, a person of the third gender, a very unique and indigenous way expression of transgenderism,
Mhm.
and the line kind of gets blurred between both of them, and there's such a deep romantic interest mutually between both of them, right? Um, but there's sort of like the inevitable doom that one day that documentarian is going to have to go home. And this person, my Mushe, will she have to run off or will she have to stay home and really maintain her responsibility at home? So that's, the film. And that was really inspired by like a sort of like a personal experience, not exactly like that, but I had, like I said, I was in a multicultural relationship, with someone from the complete other side of the world, and
Oh wow.
and it was one of the most fascinating subjects, or our favorite subjects, like as a couple, was what if we one day had to back to our homes, and what would happen? What happens if like the distance is what ends up tearing us apart? And that like idea really sort of
Interesting.
inspired me, inspired my co-writer to explore that idea. Like what happens if something like that would happen, and it led us down this like path of finding a love story. And so that, alongside other interests, kind of culminated into this film. And so yeah, like I think I ended up making films about like these personal experiences, and this time it was that.
It was that. Okay. Is
Yeah.
that one based on La Cumbia?
La Cumbia, yeah, certainly. La Cumbia was inspired by like a lot of different things,
Okay.
but that was, the quality of two people from different countries sort of just doing this,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it certainly was inspired my by
Dude,
my life.
where can we see this?
Well, actually, that's an amazing question. If you are in LA,
Mm-hmm.
you have the wonderful opportunity to watch the film on May 31st at the TCL Chinese Theater. We are part of the official selection
Oh,
of La
congrats, dude.
Lif. Thank you, of the Los Angeles Latino International Film Festival, which
Heck
is
yeah.
literally the best thing that it was our number one target. When we first sat down and we were building our film, our a festival strategy. We knew we had kind of missed the deadline for La Leaf, so we knew we were going to have our world premiere somewhere else. We ended up having it at beautiful Rehoboth Beach, amazing experience, a queer beach. It was great. But finally, the film comes to LA at La Leaf, May 31st, 3 p.m. Chinese theater. So if you live and work in LA, that's the place to watch it. If you're not in LA, I would actually love. I have posted the trailer a few times before online. Actually, it gets an incredible response online. I've had people DM me and comment, "Can you please bring it to the San Francisco Queer Film Festival or
Oh wow.
Phoenix, blah, 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 blah." Like, so if you live in a city that wants to see the film, please like reach out to myself or Joshua, and please let us know like where you would like to see it next, because leg one of the tour is done, but we're deciding what the next stops are going to be, where we're going to fly next. And so I'm trying to take the movie around the country to show it some more.
Okay.
Eventually we'll be online, but obviously we're still deep in the festival circuit, so
That's awesome, dude.
you'll have to watch it in person for a while.
All right. Yeah, man. Do you plan on possibly bringing it out to El Paso for the El Paso Film Fest?
Definitely needs to come to El Paso. Like, so that, taking it to the Las Cruces Film Fest,
Yeah.
was like a personal homecoming for me, right? In the sense that
Oh,
like that's where I became a filmmaker.
right,
But
right.
no, but like I got like a ton of messages that was like, I mean, we screened like Friday, like at midday or something. It was kind of hard for people to make the trek
Oh,
the
okay.
trek way out there. So I still have a homecoming pending. I still need to bring it to El Paso, honestly. And when we do, we'll make a whole thing. I'd love to come back and promote it and chat about it.
Yeah,
Um,
dude.
yeah, I'll submit for sure.
Sweet. Yeah, and just for those that are watching, if you want La Cumbia to be at a film festival in your city, yeah, feel free to reach out to Carlos or DM Rhythm and Roads and let us know.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, before La Cumbia, was there a prior film that you did work on that you were, I don't know, something you want to talk about?
Yeah, certainly. Like there are plenty. Like, yeah, New Mexico State. I made funny. Like the world has never really seen the thesis film that I ended up making there. I discovered, you know, thinking about what my next film is gonna be has been a little difficult because I became a filmmaker through film student, so I'm very used to like the structure
Hmm.
of a basically a film studio. I mean, Chapman operates like a film studio, right? It's a conservatory. There's every discipline possible, and they order the films, and so there's like a structure. As soon as you're done, that structure's pulled like like you get the rug pulled from under you, and you don't know really where to go. So I've been kind of looking back at like my films,
Yeah.
looking back at Does Your Heart Break, which is my NMSU thesis film,
Okay.
looking back at Renacimiento, a film that I made of my mom's my dramatic birthing story.
Oh wow.
My mom, I've dramatized it a bit, sure, but like basic. I was born on New Year's, and I have this like dramatic story of New Year's Eve, like my mother crossing the border. My mom having my dad throw her in a Bronco truck crossing the border in order for me to be born in the U.S. so that I have an American passport. I turned that into a film.
Oh, you did? Oh
Yes,
no.
yes, that short film exists. It's fantastic. I actually worked with like El Paso. I actually brought out Juarez talent for that one.
Oh, you did.
I brought out,
Okay.
yeah, Cabe. I brought out Carlos out to LA to shoot that movie, and plenty other films that I've made since then. I mean, back then. But one thing that they all kind of have in common that I realized, I tend to really be inspired by like music. Specifically, I have this thing where I like to take a song and basically adapt it into a film. All the
Oh,
movies, I mean,
yeah.
La Cumbia, El Renacimiento, Does Your Heart Break, True Blue. I mean, they're all basically like adaptations of another
The
existing
song.
work of art, right? Like, only Does Your Heart Break is it like a literal interpretation of like a song, but all the other ones are sort of just inspired by something, some kind of like musical element. So yeah, I think I know that that's what's next. I That formula works for me. I'm just gonna stick to it, pick
Yeah,
my
dude.
next like song, and make the next film kind of based off of another one because all of my previous films, like, I mean, I was a musician for so long.
Oh, you were. Okay.
Yeah, I was in band. I've been in so many bands, from screamo bands to rock bands to pop bands,
What?
since I was like 13 years old. I've been a guitarist, I've been a keyboardist, I've been a terrible singer for a very way longer than I've been a filmmaker.
Dang, dude, that's
But
cool.
it makes sense. At the time, I remember telling people like, "Oh, film, music, like they're kind of the same thing." And here I am, like 8, 9, 10 years later, and yeah, it is the same thing. Like
Wow.
I'm still drawing from like those same places.
Interesting.
And so, most of those films that I made before La Cumbia are all, not musicals, but certainly musical films, right? In terms of what they're inspired by, the way that I write them, and the way I like to tell the stories. I mean, literally, I mean, my last film is called La Cumbia. So,
Yeah.
like, there's something there. For some
There's-
reason, I have like a connection to making films like this, and I'm gonna keep that going.
Nice, man. Well, thank you for sharing that. And do you have any future projects in the works? So maybe a story already in the script?
Certainly, we're a little tight-lipped with what the
Okay.
next project is going to be. We've been touring La Cumbia around. It's gotten an incredible response,
That's awesome.
especially from festival programmers, festival coordinators. I'm really, really, really happy with actually, I don't even want to say happy. Like, I'm really inspired by the coordinators and the curators that I've met on this like tour. Especially want to shout out the people out at the Durango Independent Film Festival. The people out there at DIF, the people at Rehoboth Beach, the people at McMinnville have just like been super, super incredible and have established like such a deep relationship with me. We have plans to bring another film, like I said, that we're sort of tight-lipped back to these festivals because it
Wow.
feels like there's like the film that La Cumbia had, it started like a really interesting dialogue, thankfully, at these places, and it feels like there needs to be like a response and a follow-up. So that's about as much as like as
You
we've
can say.
decided we want to say, but basically there is going to be a follow-up to La Cumbia.
Oh,
How
that's
that ends
cool.
up being and who's involved and blah 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 blah, all of that kind of stuff. Where it's really exciting and we're really looking forward to the day we'll get to announce that kind of stuff. I'm also working on another film that is going to be produced alongside Barbara. I know I can say this. I'm making another film with Barbara Higgins, who is an amazing and historic Olympian, the first ever female Olympian from Panama for
Oh, wow.
fencing.
Yeah.
We're collaborating on this incredible collection of stories of the amazing Olympians that have come out of Panama. She competed in the original LA Olympics, and now that the Olympics are coming back, we've sort of collaborated on on this project that's coming out. And that's another project that I'm so jazzed and extremely excited about. And those details will take a lot longer to come out as well because that project is a little bit longer. But I'm very honored and privileged to have the opportunity to work with so many Olympians and to have like honestly, like the responsibility to tell their stories. So I've got that going on. If you live and work in LA, I'm in the vert world. I live and work in those verticals, directing them. I got one in Spanish coming up. So if you live and work in the vert world, like hit me up. I'm always looking for collaborators
Nice, man.
and a few other things, but I can, I'll stop it there.
All right. No, man, I really appreciate you sharing that, dude. That's awesome. You have quite a few already lined up for the future.
Certainly my next from here to the Olympics, I'm extremely booked up. So
Hey,
thank the universe for that.
there you go, man. That's
Yeah.
I love that. I'm glad that you're so booked up already. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Gives you something to look forward to when you wake up. You're like, oh, you know,
There's not enough time. There's not enough time in the day. I mean, I went out to go watch a beautiful play by a friend, and I'm of split mind, like in between the breaks, I'm like like having to get things done. Like
right.
that's just like that's just life. And that's fine. Like that's good.
Yeah, dude.
I like this fast-paced life. One day I'd love to start a family and slow down a
Oh,
little bit.
really?
But
Okay.
in the meantime, we go at 200 miles per hour.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, before we end our episode, do you want to share any advice to future filmmakers, students that are looking to pursue that field?
Um, yeah, this is, I'll say this, right? When I was trying to decide about what grad school I was going to select,
Mhm.
I did like a lot of research, and the reason that I ended up choosing Chapman was an anecdote that the Russo brothers gave uh, for their experience here, and they said when we were at Chapman, we knew who was gonna reach the heights that they
Mhm.
wanted, and
Mhm.
we knew who wasn't. And it's not because of talent, it's not because of insane industry access. All those things are incredibly helpful. He
Right.
said, but the people who we knew were going to make it was the terms that they used were the ones that we ran into at 5 a.m. at the editing bays, the ones that we ran into super late nights at the writing studio making their films, the ones that we saw late at the sound stages, building their stages, waking up early in the morning and continuing to build. It's the ones that work their effing ass off,
Mm.
and that's how you knew who the people were that that were going to end up making it. And those are the people that they stayed in connection with and ended up making Stranger Things with, right? So i- if if you see yourself as being one of those, one of the ones that will are going to give your life, you know what I mean, to making films, to becoming the best version of yourself, not only as a filmmaker, but also as a human being, as an artist, and you
Mm.
commit to it every single day. If you're made of that kind of sauce,
Right.
you need to you need to put that into work. You need to show the world what you got, what you have to say, and how good you are at doing it, and how good you are at telling a story. If you don't have that kind of sauce, that's okay. Life is still good, and filmmaking is an incredible hobby for a lot of us, and but I know that there's somebody listening to this that has the sauce and is wondering whether you do or whether you don't. Only you know that.
Mm.
But let's be honest. You have it in you. You have that sauce inside of you. You have what it takes. You just have to fucking put in the muscle. You have to
Mm.
put in the effing hours.
Mm.
That's what it takes. If you're not willing to do that stuff, then it is what it is. You know what I mean? You're still gonna have an incredible. It's just we're just making movies, right? We're not curing cancer. We're not getting people out of jail. We're not making policy. We're just making films. But
Mhm.
regardless, that's kind of what it takes. So, uh, if there's anybody out there like I was 8 years ago, wondering whether you have the sauce, you have me to tell you, yes, you do. Put in the work.
Damn, dude. That was a lot of good hot sauce you were just sharing. Dude, great advice, bro. I was lit up on that one, bro. I was like, oh shit, good stuff. It's true. It's like you said, it's those that are hungry for it, where they're consumed by it in a way that's not unhealthy, but in a way that's like, hey, I have a mission, I have a goal, and I'm gonna do what it takes to make sure things get done. And
Yeah,
so like you said, even entrepreneurs go through that. They have to stay, they don't have days off. They're always laid up, they're always, up late at night trying to sell their products or try to get their next big thing out.
filmmaking is entrepreneurial. It is
Yeah,
entrepreneurship, and I'm not talking about directors here. I'm talking about everybody else as well. You know, like if you're an aspiring costume designer, and every costume designer I know, every makeup artist I know, every assistant director I know, every gaffer I know is a business. Literally,
yeah,
like
true.
literally, literally,
Very true.
literally. When we put together productions, when we hire people, we are paying their own companies, and
That's
all of them
true.
have their own
Yeah.
small company that is billing us and they treat themselves as a business. They market themselves as a business. They conduct themselves as if they are a full legitimate business because they are. So it does not only are producers and directors entrepreneurs, everybody here is an entrepreneur. And
That's it, man.
it takes that level of organization and attitude to get it done, honestly.
Yeah. Well said, dude. Well said.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Carlos Jr., for coming on Rhythm and Roads and sharing your journey. And I'll be out there and maybe it'll work out. I don't know. We'll see. I'll be out there May 31st, but in Las Vegas
Oh, shoot. Yeah.
through June 4th. But then I'm going to Disneyland June 2nd. So I'll be in Anaheim area. Uh,
Amazing.
yeah.
Come
So
say hi. Let's grab a drink.
yeah, I was gonna say maybe on the 3rd, because the day after, yeah, I'll have some free time and I'll have a rental car. So it'd be cool to meet up, man. And then
Let's definitely do something.
yeah,
Let's
that'd be
definitely do
cool.
something.
Even if I have to meet you somewhere in Orange County, or if you want to meet me in Anaheim, whichever works. So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, dude. Well, I really want to appreciate you, bro. I really do. I appreciate everything that you've said from the start, and it means a lot. And that's why I have Rhythm and Roads, man, because every journey is different of someone's story, of anyone that have brought on and
Mhm.
shared. It's unique. And you've shared a lot of great stuff, a lot of great words of wisdom, and just the fact that you are a go-getter, you are on fire for this, and you're just like, man, I live and think and breathe and eat all this. I love it.
Yeah, certainly.
You know, dude?
You really have had like incredible voices on here. You know, you've had Ryan Rocks, and I've seen so many other filmmakers here that are just, like inspire me, and I love to see like the people that you
Oh,
have on
thanks,
here. So
man.
I really, really wanted to, come in here and talk to you and just be a part of the party because you have a really cool one going
Oh,
on.
thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you, Carlos.
Mhm.
Yeah. For those that want to find you on social media, where can they find you?
It's pretty easy. It's at CarlosCarlosJr. _. There is another Carlos Carlos Jr. somewhere in the world. I
Oh,
think he's Filipino and he beat me to all the damn handles.
oh, dude.
So
Okay.
I'm at Carlos Carlos Jr. or CarlosCarlosJr.com. It's a pretty easy name to find
Yeah,
online.
yeah.
So
Okay. Sounds good, man.
yeah.
All right, guys. Well, and congrats again on La Cumbia going around the film festivals here in the US. And you're already,
Mhm.
yeah. And it was actually at the Las Cruces International Film Festival. I just didn't get a chance to see it,
Mhm.
but yeah,
Where we met.
yeah, where we met. But I'm glad that, you showed it there. That was cool.
Certainly. It was very personal and fulfilling. Sure.
Awesome, dude. Well, all right, guys. Well, thank you again for watching on this episode, and pleasure to have Carlos Jr. on. We'll catch you on the next one.